Well, the White House is now trying to defend itself from three potentially major scandals that could rock the Obama administration in its second term. The White House press secretary said to face reporters today at 12:30. You can bet everybody is going to be watching that. And what will this briefing entail? Here with more on this morning, South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Senator, good morning. Good to have you with us today.
Thank you. Good morning.
So what I'd like to do is work our way through these three issues and get your reaction and what Congress might do about them. Let's start with the first one, which is a potential constitutional First Amendment issue of freedom of the press. The AP is raving mad about this. They're saying that their reporters and their editors in their congressional posts coverage spots basically had their phone records investigated by the Justice Department. The Justice Department says we take freedom of the press extremely seriously, and we have not violated anything in this case. What do you think?
Well, I think this is something the Congress should look at. You know, they're investigating who leaked classified information about a foil plot in Yemen. That's an appropriate thing for the Justice Department to do. But to subpoena documents, to go to a court and get a subpoena for phone records of people who are supposed to report the news is the last resort. There are a lot of hurdles you have to overcome. There's no other way to get the information other than going after the reporters themselves. This sounds very suspicious. I think it's designed to intimidate people who may come forward in the future to tell stories that the Obama administration would not like to hear. We're going to follow you, and if you talk to a reporter, we're going to know about it. It's probably an effort to intimidate people in the administration more than anything else.
Yeah, you know, what do you think would have been the right steps for them to take? I mean, certainly we've seen them, ask reporters to turn over their sources before. Would that not have been the appropriate first step?
Well, there are guidelines in the Department of Justice of how you do these things, and from what I understand, they kind of just went to the last option first. And again, this is a pretty obvious effort to me to intimidate people within the administration that we're watching you, we're going to watch who you talk to. But this is where Congress has an oversight function, and I hope we'll perform it.
All right, let's talk about the second issue, which really goes to the honesty and the integrity of our taxation system in the United States of America, which is a pretty important sacrosanct thing. You have to feel that you're on a level playing field when you pay your taxes and when you apply for tax-exempt status, which is what these organizations did. Yesterday we talked about this, and it appeared that it was based in the Cincinnati office. Today we're learning that offices in Washington and 2 offices in California also had wind of this situation. What about that?
Well, I think you're having power given to the Obama administration by the American people being abused. This is not the first time that the IRS has been used for political reprisal, but clearly they're impeding the efforts of conservative groups to form, unite, and convey a message. They're using the power of the Internal Revenue Service to the benefit of the Obama administration politically by trying to stonewall and silence critics. And this is a very big deal.
You know, my mind goes back to the issue when the president took office of, this is going to be the most transparent administration that we've ever seen. And when you look at what's on their plate right now, and I'm sure they feel frustrated in the White House and the Oval Office, and they feel that they're being wronged in these situations and that they're being misunderstood. But there's a lot of very serious issues that I know Congress wants to know the answers to here. And I do want to get your thoughts on Benghazi as well. And I want to know what your reaction is to the president yesterday calling this investigation and discussion about the talking points. He said it's a political circus and that it goes back to political motivations. He basically told the press that was out there yesterday, get off of this topic because you're just falling into the hands of those who are politically motivated on it.
I think he wants people. He'd rather talk about the IRS abuses than talk about Benghazi. The IRS situation, the Obama administration is not a victim of anything other than their excess abuse of power. But when it comes to Benghazi, you've got 4 dead Americans, and this is a story of manipulation by the government with the president being complicit, of trying to tell a story 7 weeks before an election that was politically beneficial to the White House that did not represent the facts on the ground, manipulating the intelligence to get an outcome helpful to the election. And before the attack, it was a system completely deaf and blind to the real threat that our people faced in Benghazi. And during the attack, it was a situation where President Obama's administration allowed 4 people to be murdered, attacked by radical Islamist Al-Qaeda affiliated groups, and nobody could help them. This, to me, is the story of the greatest importance of the 3, because 4 Americans are dead, and it's a story of failed foreign policy, and the president is insulting my intelligence and the American people by suggesting he called this a terrorist attack from the get-go. That's not true.
Yeah, you know, we know the CIA called it a terrorist attack within 24
Everybody
hours,
did.
And that General Petraeus said that he thought those talking points were worthless. You know, should the president be defending those talking points? Because that's exactly what he did. He stood up and said, look, that's what we knew at the time, but we know that that is not what they knew at the time.
The president is insulting the American people. Jay Carney said that the changes in the talking points from the original intelligence-generated version to the Susan Rice version were stylistic in nature. That is arrogance beyond belief. The president ran out the clock and he won the election. He was able to get Benghazi behind him in terms of electoral politics, but it won't go away. And Mr. President, it's not going to go away. This is not a Fox News story. This is an American story of 4 brave Americans killed by radical Islamists. The threat is growing. You've denied the threat. You've got political correctness running amok through your administration. This is an American story of abandoning people at their time of greatest need, allowing security to deteriorate on your watch, and manipulating the American people about actually how they died. This is not going to stop. This is not about Fox. It's not about Lindsey Graham. It is about the Obama administration's foreign policy failing.
Well, we're going to talk to Sean Smith's mother, and in her case, it is an American story, as you say, and a very personal story. And she'll be with us in a little while. Senator Graham, always good to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.